So this is continuing my invention. I was explaining how the pendulum moves from the 12 o'clock position, drops a pendulum swing, and rises to the 11 o'clock position, where the trigger and lock system, or a lever and lock system, will lock the pendulum in place at the 11 o'clock position at its highest peak of momentum. And so at the same time will the a valve, it's not drawn, but at the bottom of this Tesla turbine, the valve will be locked on both sides, the bottom left turbine and the bottom right turbine. Intake valves will be closed, so the water inside any of the Tesla turbines or inside the pipe fitting or the water tank will not fall back to gravity, because the only escape pressure due to the downward pull of gravity will not fall out of the system, because the system is closed by the valves. Now the other step is, once everything is locked, the ejection pump is going to eject the water out of the water storage tank and the Tesla turbine ball, and the ejection pump is going to eject the water into this water tank reservoir, or water reservoir tank, that's high in the air and it's stationary and it doesn't move with the pendulum. So the water tank reservoir, I'm going to go over here. This is the same water tank reservoir. It's just a different paper. It's very high. It's at the 11 o'clock position, compared to the height of the Tesla pendulum ball. The water tank drops water on either a left half or a right half of the alcohol fall chambers. So these are alcohol fall chambers. I described them in other videos, so that water falls on a half, either a half side of one of the sides in the alcohol fall chambers, so that the falling liquid will turn the water wheels, and if you let the water fall on the left side, the water wheels will turn counterclockwise, and if the water falls on the right half of the alcohol fall chamber, the water wheels will turn clockwise. So here's two fall chambers. You could just see two rectangular, long standing boxes. So the water liquid from the water reservoir tank falls and turns the water wheels by weight of gravity of liquid against the paddles. The paddles are the part of the water wheel that have the carry the weight, or receive the weight from gravity of the water falling onto the paddle of the water wheel, which the liquid against the paddles or water wheel, which turns the generator. So the water wheel paddles receive the water, and they turn the blade, and the blade turns the hub, and the hub turns the shaft. The hub is kind of like the shaft, and the shaft of the water wheel turns the generator shaft. And so the water returns back to ground level. So just notice that these are thousands of generators in vertical alignment, 1,000, a little less than 1,400 miles in height. So I'm going to continue and upgrade the invention, just so I could make the invention more perpetual. I just zoomed in, so okay, here's the pendulum again. The difference is, so you have your turbines, your pipe fitting, but you notice that there's these giant circles around the pendulum T-end fitting. So each one of these circles is a copper circuit. So I'm gonna hold it still. If you were looking at it from right here, if you were looking straight at the pendulum, perpendicular, or looking through a front view of the pendulum, just like you would be looking at it now, you would really see this. These are just copper coils. They're an external circuit, and what I've added is a weight to the end of the piston rod of the pendulum, and the weight is magnets. So it goes north-south, and there's a space in between the two magnets. So south to north makes a attracting magnetic field, south to north, and you notice there's space in between the magnets, and it has a horizontal, let's say a stand, or just holding metal post that will contain the magnets. The metal post could be aluminum, non-magnetic, and you have north-south, north-south. Again, it goes north to south, north to south. So I drew a sideways picture of this external circuit just to show what it would look like if you were looking at it from the side at this angle, instead of looking at it in front, what it would really look like if you were looking at it from the front. So here's the side angle of the external circuit. What it should really look like is external circuits like this one, this straight line of coils that go in between the magnet spaces, and you'll have these copper coils in every magnetic field, in between every magnetic field. So you'll have a straight copper external circuit here, a copper external circuit here, and a copper external circuit here in between these magnets. So here's that side view. You could just see a giant circle of hold on, I got water on my device. You can see a giant circle of hold on, there you go. You see a giant circle. It's a giant. So this external circuit would be 1,400 miles in length. So if you would cut that in half, and you would get the radius of the circle of the external circuit. So if I have how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 on each side of either side of this pendulum. The pendulum's symmetrical, so you would have 8 total external circuits that fit in between the spaces. And as the pendulum falls, the perpendicular magnetic field will cut the stationary external circuit like a non-simplified generator would, and or a coil generator, where the magnetic field will cut the coils and make AC current from the fall of the pendulum swing. So when the pendulum swing goes from the top position at 12 o'clock height, and it drops, the momentum will drop down, and none of the magnets or any of the falling action will touch the external circuits. The external circuits are stationary and won't be touching anything else. They'll be supported by a different stand. So when the swing falls of the pendulum will go down the external circuit and back up, and go to the 11 o'clock position where there's a lock and lever. Now the energy that you make from the external circuits, that the AC energy, can be transferred to a maybe a motor or a pulley system to lift the pendulum back to the 12 o'clock position. So the copper external circuits make energy, and the energy is going to, after the swing, be used to make the swing go go back to the height of the 12 o'clock position of where the pendulum swing first originally started. So now that you have your pendulum swing back to the original start point, and you still have water inside all your Tesla turbines, all your and your Tesla turbine valves are still closed, your valves will open for the next swing, so that the next swing can pump more water into the system, so that the system can recycle. So I basically explained to you the whole system of how this could be perpetual. So the pendulum gets its perpetual energy from the external circuits, and as well the magnets on the pendulum rod end make more weight, so you'll have more weight to make this pendulum move. And this pendulum will be 1,400 miles at height at the 12 o'clock position, at its highest position, ready to drop for a pendulum swing. So the energy from the external circuit will be put back in. I haven't drawn a system where the energy from the external circuit will be put back into a pulley or a motor that will turn this pendulum back to the 12 o'clock position, where the water has been lifted 1,400 miles in the air for free. And so now once you have that water, you could just imagine the water being ejected by the Tesla turbine ball at the 12 o'clock position, instead of what I previously said at the 11 o'clock position, where now the water will be ejected at 1,400 miles high from ground level. It'll be ejected into the water tank reservoir, and from the water tank reservoir at 1,400 miles height high, the water will be turn the generators in the alcohol fall chambers and drop to the ground, where the water source can restart to recycle the system, so that you can use only one batch of water and not be using a water source. You'll always have a single water source, and you won't need a river or a stream or a flowing water source. So you'll make free energy off the falling alcohol chamber, while the pendulum just recycles itself in energy output from the 12 o'clock position to the 12 o'clock position. So this is a free electricity over unity machine that I've built. It's very big. I have some more ideas for it. I could add even more energy. I used to have more ideas to this invention. I'm sharing them now. Also, you could, here's another design, with the falling water chambers. So you have your water tank reservoir at the top, and your water tank's going to drop the water on the alcohol fall chambers. So what I thought is that since the water is already falling, maybe you could add moonshine vats and heater coils and batteries, so that the batteries would light up the heater coil and light up the moonshine vats, and the falling water would be like the stream. So you would save pumping action in making moonshine. So after you make moonshine, the moonshine could be dropped into another alcohol fall chamber, not a water fall chamber, but it's same system, except for they're just two different liquids. And then the liquid will fall. I haven't drawn the alcohol fall chamber, but the alcohol fall chamber will drop to the locomotive port, or alcohol reservoir.